everybody. Thanks for tuning in. I apologize for the lack of videos lately. It's been about a month, I guess. Trying to do these more frequently, and then I've gotten busy with stuff, which is good to be busy, but I want to do these more frequently, so I'll try to do better with that. At least I'll say I'll try to do better with that. I really do want to, though. But thanks for coming back and watching. This will be a video showing my number 100 sketch of my 300 Days of Star Wars. And I will talk a little bit about the process once I get to something worth mentioning. Right now it's kind of the same kind of pencil sketch as I usually start. But I also, on Facebook, I mentioned that I could answer some questions during some of these videos if any of you are dying to know what I'm thinking while I'm drawing, or any other questions. And looking at the questions, very few had to do with the actual artwork, but I said I'd answer anything. So I'll get to those right now while I'm sketching, and you can watch me sketch and listen to me ramble. So the first question comes from Dana Anderson White, who, if you hadn't guessed, is my sister. She said, this one's from Finn, her son, my nephew. How does a baby get into a mommy's tummy, and how/where does it come out? I did say that I would answer any question, so I guess I was asking for it. Well, Dana, I would say tell him that when a man needs to prove to a woman that when a man loves a woman and he actually wants to make love to her, something very, very special happens, and with deep concentration and great focus, he's often able to achieve, well, I'm actually going to stop it there. It's about to get a little gross, but just tell him the stork brings them, and he should be satisfied with that. Next question came from Michael Smith. He asked, okay, I'll try this one instead. He had asked a previous question that I answered quickly. He said, on your next sale, are you going to sell original sketches of what we want? Now, there are two ways to interpret this. One, that could be a very passive-aggressive way of telling me that nobody wants the sketches I'm making. Or the second, wondering when, if I would have commission sketches available coming up. And I've since spoken with Michael, and it was indeed the second interpretation. I'm going to try to open up commission sketches as often as I can. I'll do them about 5 at a time. I did open some up at this latest sketch sale because I pretty much caught up with the other ones that I had done before. I just want to make sure I don't get so far ahead of myself that I'm, that I owe 10 sketches to people and I'm opening up more spots. So as I finish those, I'll make more available. Though that may or may not coincide with other sketch sales. This time it did. But yeah, trying to do those, branch out a little bit from Star Wars, although a lot of the commissions have been Star Wars related, which I'm always happy to do. So yeah, I'll keep those coming. Yeah, stay posted for updates on that. The next question comes from Ken Boda. I hope I'm pronouncing your names right. I apologize if not. Feel free to leave angry comments. But he asked, how have you not done the inevitable Enterprise versus Death Star piece? I guess the simple answer to that is I'm just keeping it Star Wars for these. If anybody wants to see kind of a franchise crossover, feel free to sign up for a commission sketch. But for these 300 Days of Star Wars, it'll be purely Star Wars. Hopefully, my intent is to keep the daily sketch habit going after Star Wars has come out, and I'll probably branch out into some more non-Star Wars stuff after that. The fourth and final question was from Chris Anderson, which, if you hadn't also guessed, is my brother. His question is, when, and if it is, how much should it be to try and get him all the way on up? And I guess the best answer I could think of to that would be it'll certainly be when and however it should or ought to get, rather from one that never does. So yeah, that'll be my answer to that. Well, those were all the questions I got this time around. If you have other questions, want to know why I sketch certain things the way I do, or how babies are made, feel free to leave comments on this video. Keep them respectful. I may start limiting questions and answers to the artwork if they get too weird, but probably can't get any weirder than what Chris threw at me there. So, turning to the sketch, I've already finished the blue pencil phase. As you can see, I'm moving into the ink drawing using a brush pen. And in fact, I think this is the last sketch I was able to do with this particular pen. I dried it out pretty good with this one. It's served me well, but I now know that I need to keep a fresh supply of them. I usually get my pens from jetpens.com. If you guys have any other suggestions for good places to get pens, let me know. But so far they've had a great variety, and I've been able to get a lot of really cool pens. In fact, I got a brush pen sampler pack or something that had a bunch of different brush pens, this among them. But I really like this pen, as you've seen me use in my other sketches. I tend to prefer this one. It's got a nice long brush to it. Yeah, so going in with the brush pen here, I decided to make something extra special for Sketch 100. Seems like the bounty hunters excite a lot of people. A lot of my comments are particularly favorable for the bounty hunter sketches. And I think a lot of people just really like the bounty hunters, and I can't disagree. I think there's a certain mystique to them and to Boba Fett specifically, because he's featured so frequently in the classic trilogy. I think there's just something cool about not knowing whose side. I mean, these guys aren't really on anyone's side. They're just kind of their own thing. One of the things I like most about Tuco in Good, Bad, and the Ugly is he's neither good nor bad. He's just kind of looking out for Tuco. And I kind of like to imagine these bounty hunters are similar, that they just do whatever they need to make ends meet and do their own thing. So I decided to kind of make a collage of them. I originally had intended for each head to go on its own line, and then I realized each head would be about the size of a quarter to fit within that, and I'd have way too much negative space. So I turned it into more of a collage where they're all kind of photobombing each other, as someone pointed out in the Facebook comments. But they're fun characters, fun to draw, some diversity among their races and species or whatnot. Soon I will be incorporating some other techniques. So like here you can see, I like to splatter these with ink, just kind of mess them up a little bit. I'll go in with black, and I think with this one I came in with some white ink also. If I didn't, I at least meant to. I might not have on this one. Just to kind of break up the lines, make it a little dirty. I tend to do this a lot with my bounty hunter sketches because they're kind of grittier, dirtier characters. Yeah, there we go. I used some white. I erased some of the pencil out before I did the white because the white doesn't always cover up the pencil, and I wanted to make sure I got that out of the way. The black will just cover it up, so I didn't erase before that. But I've got my triangle. The technique I learned not a technique, but like a trick I guess I learned at Art Center, is to take a piece of tape and tape it across the middle there and leave a little tab so you can easily pick it up and rotate the triangle to various degrees without having to kind of try to get your fingernails under it. So if you see that black tape, that's why. So here's a technique I've also been experimenting with on a lot of my bounty hunter sketches and some others, is using what used to be called Zipatone. It's not, I don't think that brand exists anymore. This is made under the brand name Deleter. Somebody recommended it to me, and I've found some sellers on Amazon. They seem to come and go. I think I found it on dickblick.com also, and maybe even JetPens. It might actually be JetPens. I'll have to look that up. I'll put a link to that in the description below. to if some of you are interested. I hesitate to do that though. It is so hard to find, and now I'm afraid you guys will buy it all. So maybe I'll send you some misleading links. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that on purpose. But it's a tone. It's kind of hard to tell from this video if you just zoom in. The first two that I used were a halftone pattern. This one is more of a speckly kind of dissolve pattern, just to get some grayscales. They use it a lot in comics, or at least used to get, for black and white comics. It's a way to get tones without using gray. It's all black and white when you look at it up close, but you get some interesting textures to it. And because these are original sketches, I could do this in Photoshop or Manga Studio or whatever other software, but because these are original sketches, I want to do as much by hand as possible. So I've experimented with this. I've never used this stuff before I started this sketching project, and it can be a lot of fun. It's a neat effect. It's a lot of work. This is obviously sped up quite a bit. I think it's sped up about, let's see, 8 times. So imagine this going 8 times more slowly, and you kind of get a feeling for what a laborious process it is. But it's got a cool effect, and I like to try it once in a while. Basically, I'll lay it down gently on the paper, go in with the X-Acto to trim out the highlights and stuff, and then I'll go in. I need to get a burnishing tool that'll make pressing it down a little more easy. Right now, I just kind of use the cap for my X-Acto blade. But as I go, I cut sections off. You can see me kind of moving it over to the left. I keep a little piece of the wax paper backing next to me, and I stick the little scraps to it, because sometimes there's a really little space that I need to fill, and rather than wasting a big section of it for that, I'll just grab one of my little scraps. You can see there I'm kind of testing it to Boba Fett's head. That was just a little corner that was left over from something else I cut off, either in this sketch or a previous one. But you'll see me come back to that once in a while. Like there, for example, that was a little scrap. Really isn't worth keeping. I'll probably throw those little tiny ones away at the end of the sketch, but I'll hold on to them while I'm going through the sketch. Sometimes it's just easier to go into the white pen than it is to cut out all of the zipatone for those highlights. At this point, it's probably an hour into it and losing steam. Yeah, and I apologize for shots like this where I forgot to move the camera down. I just get so into the sketch that I forget to look up at the screen and see that I'm not filming anything. But fortunately, sped up 8 times, you're not going to notice too much. As I've been sketching more and more of these bounty hunters, I've come to realize that Zuckuss and Forlom have a lot in common design-wise, and I don't know the stories behind them. Now that they've kind of thrown out the expanded universe, I'm not sure if there is an official story for them anymore, but they do look an awful lot alike, even though one is a droid and one is not. Or at least that's my assumption. One is very clearly a droid, the other is not. So, if any of you know the story behind that, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Otherwise, I have to look it up myself, I guess. IG-88 was always pretty cool. A droid bounty hunter. Decided to throw in a little bit of color with that marker. But there's the finished sketch. I did this one at 9 inches by 12 inches, a little bit larger than I usually do them. I want to do something special for sketch 100. But yeah, so as I've mentioned, if you have any questions or comments for me, leave them in the comments field. I'll be happy to get back to you or address them in future videos. And I appreciate all of your support, everyone, for not just buying the sketches, but for commenting and all the encouragement. It was a daunting project to begin with, and it's great to know that so many people are watching and care enough to at least click that like button. But it's enough to keep me going. So thank you, I appreciate that, and thanks for everything you guys do. I will hopefully get back to another video before another month. I hesitate to promise that, but I will do my best. Thanks again, and see y'all later.